While
Yes.
adults are focused on one thing, children are different. How are they?
Well, a book by a very preeminent child psychologist called Alison Gopnik, which, what's the wretched book called? I can't now remember. The Philosophical Baby, is it called? I can't remember. Anyway, Alison Gopnik's book,
Right.
where she describes how she says that the consciousness of children is different, which means that they're essentially, we go through life in a very energy efficient way. You know, the simplest explanation is normally the best one. If we see something 100 times, we expect that next time, you know, we work on the assumption that that's what's going to happen. So we use these sort of rules of thumb that make quick decisions. Whereas children's consciousnesses are what she calls a lantern consciousness. It's not like a kind of torchlight, which is zeroing in on the next objective. It's, you know, a child's, you know, will simply ask to solve a problem. You know, I don't mean literally ask to solve a problem, but, you know, deciding, you know, trying to make some decision about the world. We'll test and imagine every single hypothesis, however improbable. We'll take in all the data available. We'll think about absolutely everything, because it'll take hours to take it in. But, you know, we'll therefore be enriched by that. But they'll be pretty useless at jumping out of the way if a tiger comes to attack them, or they'll be pretty hopeless at hunting, or, you know, doing any of the things that you need to do to survive, because children, she says, generally, you know, we've adapted to look after our children, for them to be basically helpless for 6 or 7 years. You know, like a baby giraffe, you know, it's alive for 3 or 4 hours and it's on its feet and it's running around the place, and if something tries to eat it, it'll run away. Whereas human babies are helpless for much longer. And she says that that's an evolutionary trade-off, that, you know, we allow them to sit there contemplating the beauty of every blade of grass, or thinking up a million different impossible things before breakfast, and we keep them safe because that allows their brains to develop in all sorts of ways that a giraffe's brain never will. But the trade-off is that we're helpless and quite vulnerable for a really long time.
She calls it the R&D, you quote, and if I remember, the R&D department of the human species.
Yes, exactly. Research and Development Department of the Human Species. And that's a very good way of putting it. She's just like, they are what's sometimes called a skunk work. So the idea that they're the people, you know, the child's brain is doing the totally outside the box thinking, and adults are doing the inside the box thinking. You know, the child's brain will produce things that an adult brain will not. I love that what she says by implication is that, you know, giving a child LSD will have almost no impact on it, because their brains are already like that. LSD works on the adult world by erasing all those fixed tracks of thinking we've got and throwing us back into this childlike lantern consciousness way, which is why someone who's tripping on acid, you know, will spend half an hour contemplating the bark of a tree trunk very happily. But with children, that's what their brains are like all the time.